Welcome to Border Life, where we're looking at two very different communities. Later in the programme, we've been given special access to visit a unique farm. It's run by a community that includes people with special needs, and it's a major success story.
Having watched people with learning difficulties in different situations, if it was one of my family, it really is a nice place for these people to live in.
But first, when a farmer dug up some large logs on his land in Dumfries and Galloway, he thought they looked unusual. His eagle-eyed actions helped uncover an Iron Age settlement, unlike any other seen in Scotland. Emma Baker went to find out what's being unearthed.
It's a step back in time to a prehistoric age that's quite literally been buried beneath our feet. Buried until now. This dig near Munreath is uncovering the secrets of the past, left by those who lived here 2,500 years ago. Unusually, the remains are incredibly well preserved, making this a truly remarkable find, the first of its kind in Scotland.
The kind of thing that survives here is stuff that we just don't see on any other type of Iron Age site. The flooring material, the soft furnishing, all the organic parts of the building that's just usually would decay away or be ploughed away through agriculture are surviving and allowing us to sample them and study them.
The team is slowly unearthing a corner of an Iron Age roundhouse, thought to look something like this. A home to local people who'd lived in the area for generations.
We're talking about the period around about 500 BC, 400 BC. That's the kind of period we're dealing with here. So these are the native farmers who are working the land round about them. We're looking at the kind of southwest corner of what would have been a large circular building about 12 metres in diameter. We have this ring of beams defining the floor space, and then the big central hearth in the middle there.
So the hearth is over here,
yeah.
And this would have been, as today, the kitchen area where everyone gathered.
That's right, so it's very much the focal point of the house. This is where all the activity takes place. We've got lots of evidence for cooking, burnt bone and lots of charcoal and ashes from the fire. So literally the last fires that were burnt in this house, or the remains of those, are still on this hearthstone here. So the interesting thing about this building is because it's built on a peat bog, a very sort of unstable foundations for the structure, the hearth's very heavy and it sinks into the peat bog over time. And that's telling us that there's more than one phase of use of this building. So we think that the building's been reused maybe 3, 4, 5 times, and each time they've built a new hearth on top of the one before. So we're able to actually excavate through the levels and unpick the building. And so it remains to be seen how many hearths are in this sequence, but we're on level 2 now.
The reason that this is all so well preserved is thanks to the land it's been built on. Unusually for the time, the house was constructed on marshy peatland. Thanks to this wet environment, the wood became waterlogged before it had a chance to decay. So it's been perfectly preserved, making it a unique opportunity to learn more about how these people lived.
We have these sites in southwest Scotland called crannogs, which are artificial islands that are built out in lochs with the settlements built on top. And we also have terrestrial settlements on dry land. But what we have here is something in between. So it's not quite a crannogs, but it's built in wet ground in a boggy area. So something that's unique so far to Scotland.
So unique that even the mud is precious.
The flooring material that survives here is just packed with information for archaeologists. Charlotte, can you pass me a piece of that up? Okay, so yeah, this horrible muddy stuff here is actually compressed organic flooring material, so things like reeds and rushes, and because of the preservation levels it's full of information, so things like insect remains that will tell us whether people were in the building, cereal remains that tell us about the kind of crops they were growing and what they were eating is preserved in this stuff. And this is just the kind of thing that doesn't usually survive.
Apart from the flooring and timber left behind, there are also clues about everyday life here in 500 BC.
There's not an awful lot of glass known from this very early Iron Age period, but it does occur in the form of personal ornaments, so things like beads and bracelets. And obviously this isn't a complete artefact, but it's a chip off something of one of those.
And how did you find that?
Well, someone with eagle eyes, yeah, because obviously conditions are not ideal for spotting tiny artefacts like that, but it just popped out in front of them.
And that just shows how painstaking your work is, but important to be so patient.
Absolutely, yeah, and this was found by one of our volunteers. So what have you got there, Tom?
Well, I think it's a possible hammerstone. I've just found it in the section there just behind where Leslie is.
Yep, it does look like one of these cobble tools that we've been finding, so you can see the facets from working on it. So that's definitely been used.
The work done by local volunteers here is proving invaluable. The experts have just 3 weeks to finish the dig, which means it's all hands to the pump.
Tom, you're a volunteer here, aren't you?
Yes, that's right.
So is this your first dig?
Very first dig. It's a great big tick on my bucket list.
Oh, really?
Yes, I've wanted to do this small for years. If I had more than one tail, I'd be wagging them all right now. I'm so chuffed being here. It's just great. Every day's exciting. It's thrilling. It's amazing how wrapped up in this thing you can get. It's truly amazing.
Now, when the sun's shining, as it is right now, it's quite nice, but actually in the wind and the rain, this could at times be a little miserable.
That is true. There's always days. It can be a bit unpleasant, is all I'm saying.
But how does this feel, knowing that you are touching bits of wood that was around 2,500 years ago, touched by the people who were living then? It's incredible, isn't it?
It connects you, yeah. It does actually take you back. Seeing the layout of this, you have to imagine the amount of work it would have taken to put it up in the first place.
The nearby Whithorn Trust was established to explore the history of this area and has worked hard to make this dig happen.
How do you feel now it's finally come to fruition?
It's just tremendously exciting. I've never dug before, and to have your hands on something that's 2,500 years old is just mind-boggling. The Whithorn Trust aims to sponsor all sorts of archaeology, so this is the first prehistoric dig that we've been involved in. We wish to be involved wherever archaeology happens in Galloway, so with any luck this is the first of many.
It's not a bad start.
No, it's excellent.
Just a few minutes later, they make a very rare find.
Wow, look at that. That's amazing. This is called a crucible, which is a little ceramic vessel which takes molten metal, and it's used in the metalworking process, so when people are making tools or other metal objects. So you imagine that they would have been holding these with tongs, you know, because obviously it's extremely hot, but the molten metal is going into this vessel so it can be poured into a mould, which tells us that they're manufacturing metal objects here.
So how exciting is this find?
Oh, it's superb. I mean, there's a very small number of these from early Iron Age sites like this, so yeah, this is extremely rare evidence for metalworking.
The team here is in no doubt that this dig is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Now they'll spend the next few months analysing the wealth of information they've collected to see just how much light this little piece of land can throw onto our understanding of the Iron Age in Scotland.
Personally, how exciting is this?
Oh, I mean, it's great. It's the opportunity to see this kind of thing is just amazing. I mean, we study Iron Age archaeology across the country, and we don't see it in this level of preservation at all. So often what we're doing is making sort of informed guesses about the evidence we can collect, but to actually see it preserved here is just superb.
Coming up, a very different sort of community, a unique farm that's run by volunteers and people with special needs.
Best thing about living here, it's in the countryside. Have many friends, and I will hopefully stay here for the rest of my life.
See you soon for a truly inspiring story. Welcome back. Dumfries and Galloway is renowned for farming, but we've been given access to a farm with a difference. Loch near Beeswing is run by a community that includes people with special needs. And business is booming. Fiona McElrea finds out the secret of its success.
The public face of Loch Arthur is a farm shop and bustling cafe. But what makes the farm special is that it's a Camp Hill community.
Brown, HP sauce and ketchup.
The Camp Hill movement is dedicated to giving people with learning difficulties a full and rewarding life. Everybody lives together in communal houses. Dave Mitchell and his wife lead one of them.
Earth that gives to us this food, Sun who makes it ripe and good. Dear Earth, dear Sun, by you we live, and to you our love and thanks we give.
This is what Loch Arthur is all about. A family that cares for each other and shares life's ups and downs. From the people who run the community to the other residents and volunteers, they're all unpaid and have chosen this life together.
Oh, there's a wee bit of elderflower juice.
There was, yeah.
And we've been given a rare opportunity to go behind the scenes to get an idea of what life is really like at Loch Arthur.
It's a good size.
60% of what's sold at the farm shop is produced by the community. There's a garden, bakery, creamery and butchery, and residents with special needs work as hard as anybody else. Most mornings you can find Michael in the garden.
Michael, how long have you been here?
23 years, and I like it here. Got nice friends. We live together as a community. We go on outings together, and I work in the garden doing blocks, and we grow things like lettuce, tomatoes, cabbages, turnips and things like that.
And what's the best bit about it?
Best thing about living here, it's in the countryside, because I like nature, I like the area, have many friends, and I will hopefully stay here for the rest of my life.
Last few roles to do. I think the fact that we're a group of people who are actively choosing to live together and work together really does create something. So I think we don't have that sense of, oh, work, I've got to go to work. You feel that it's a life of meaning for us all. It comes with an incredible amount of responsibility as well, because it's not just easy, you know, you're having to actually engage with people all the time, and there aren't that many hiding places when you're 10, 12, 13 people living in a house, facing each other every day. And that means you really have to make that effort to get along, and I think that actually creates something quite special around it.
Now, religion is part of life here. How does it work in the whole community?
Well, it's something that quietly underpins life here. We welcome people of all faiths and no faiths, and I think it's just something about the rhythm of life. One of the great threads, I think, for us is that every Sunday, or nearly every Sunday, we have a gathering, and that gathering will be led by somebody, and its content will really depend on what that person wants to bring. But for me, it really is a wonderful coming together of the community.
The Camp Hill movement started in 1939 near Aberdeen. Now there are over 100 Camp Hill communities in more than 20 countries worldwide. While the ethos remains the same, things have changed a lot since the early days.
I don't remember, but some will, that there was a very different scenario in those days. And really opportunities for people who had perceived disabilities were quite limited. And really the ethos behind Camp Hill was to find the wholeness in a person, and that was not done very much. So in a way it was a precursor to care in the community. It was a really early version of that idea of finding full involvement for people in society, rather than saying this person has a disability and therefore can't be part of the world and all it has to offer.
Loch Arthur has been Barry's life. He's been here for over 30 years. For him, it's that ethos of the community that makes it special.
There you go.
People wake up each day and feel, I have a real purpose today, to go out and farm, to go out and make cheese, to make bread, to help run this shop. These are things that make people wake up and feel that life is important, you know, and I think that makes a very big difference.
Go on, Ken, you can do that. Just like a ski. 2 hands at the same time. This is the sour batter for the country sour.
Here in the bakery, they're making the day's supply of speciality breads. Sophia has been volunteering here for the past 2 years.
My dad was born in Camp Hill, well, not in Camp Hill, but really near to Camp Hill, and he grew up in Camp Hill. And my grandmother, she started a Camp Hill in northeast England called Larchfield Community. And so when we were growing up, we were often visiting Camp Hill and coming backwards and forwards from Camp Hill. And then I finished school, and my mum knew about Loch Arthur. She'd visited here a long time ago, and she just said, oh, maybe it's a nice thing if you don't know what to do. And so then I just applied, and yeah.
And you're still here 2 years on, so what do you love about it?
I love how you meet all these different people from all these different walks of life, from Germany and Hungary. I mean, I work with people from there, and also just from all over the UK and all over the world. And it doesn't matter where you've come from or how old you are and all these things, that you're sort of equal, because you're all here to do the same thing and to achieve the same, I don't know, final goal of just helping people and giving back to, I don't know, the community and stuff.
The newly baked bread goes straight out onto the shelves. The farm shop plays a vital role in reaching out to the community.
I started coming here such a long time ago because of the whole business of the community. A brilliant way of integrating social enterprise and actually doing something that benefits the community at the same time. So that's where it started from. The food is great, the quality of the produce is wonderful. I like to buy organic, and you can do that here with confidence. Having watched people with learning difficulties in different situations, if it was one of my family and they had to spend the rest of their life living somewhere and doing something worthwhile and feeling valued, I think this place, you know, it really is a nice place for these people to live.
While it may seem like an idyllic lifestyle, as with any family, there are challenges. Dave and his wife have spent over 24 years here. His children grew up in this house and loved the experience, but he does admit it can be difficult at times.
Yes, but whose life isn't at times challenging? Yes, it has its moments, for sure, but I think on the whole, I think the sense that we're all in a sense choosing to live together, and we're trying to create something together. I mean, that sounds very, very grand. It can be very, very simple things. You know, we share a meal, we share a cup of tea, we share our interests, but we also each has our own individual lives within that as well. It's very hard to put into words what it is. It's just that sense of really living together. But it does take an effort. It doesn't just come naturally. People often walk in and go, oh, it's amazingly calm and serene. And well, I often use the analogy of you know, the swan that glides very, very smoothly on top of the water, but underneath its legs are going like crazy.
It's a long way.
We live in a beautiful place. You've been around, you've seen what an exceptional estate it is, what the farm is like, what the gardens are like. And life is very balanced as well. There is a lot of struggle, but along with the work that we do, which you've seen around the place, we also have a social life. People interact.
We've got a banana-shaped one here. Funny.
We also have a rich cultural life. These are things that actually a lot of people in society now are looking for, and we're fortunate enough to have created them and have them here. So really, it's a reason to stay.
2, 3, 4, 5.
And it's that way of thinking that makes Tom love living here. He used to live in a different Camp Hill community in England, but moved up here 8 years ago. Since then, he's started working in the warehouse, putting together food orders for the houses on the site.
It's quite good because my mum is living in Patrick. It's very close where I live, and I can see her often. And I love my life in Loch. You've got nice mountains, and I like the mountains. I like the landscape is, and it takes a long time to say it. And when I finish my 2 weeks, I just say to them, I love it. It's big community, and that's what I really want.
Over 70 people live here at Loch Arthur, and everyone has a job to do, playing to their strengths. The idea is that everyone has a place and can contribute to the way of life.
We've been filming here all day, and the overriding feeling that we've all had is just how happy everyone is here. From the butchery to the farm shop and the garden, they're just so contented. Everyone loves their life here, and they wouldn't change it for anything.
That's it for this edition of Border Life. We'll be taking a short summer break for the next 4 weeks, but we'll look forward to seeing you again before long.